Hey, so the topic of the day, Harbor Freight tools. Can you use them in the professional workplace? Well, yes and no. I'll kind of go over what I mean. But first, I should talk about what I do for a living. Obviously, here at my shop, Toy Box Motorsports, we're not a full-time shop. We specialize in odd stuff. I'll give you some examples. We just got done finishing up a 16-cylinder two-stroke diesel that had 4 turbochargers and 2 superchargers on it that was a hot rod. We've done some other specialty work, like take a 351 Windsor that was out of an old Walker Evans race truck, freshen it up and put it in a 1918 American LaFrance fire truck. Things like that, and because of that, we're not a full-time shop. Sometimes we may go a couple months without anything coming in, and then all of a sudden, bing, this, really, want me to do what type of scenario comes into the shop, and that's how we keep the doors open. It doesn't really put food on the table, so I have to have a full-time job. And what I do for a living is I restore old Ford pickups. I work for a company that specializes in old Fords, and that's what I do. I restore vehicles. But anyhow, because of that, I have to have multiple sets of tools. I have actually 2 sets of tools here and 1 set of tools at work. So I use a combination of different things or different brands between the 3 shops, or the three sets of tools, 2 shops. So let me go over what I use, where and how and why. First of all, let's start off with the main topic. Can you use Harbor Freight tools in the professional workplace? Yes, to a point. Give you some examples of stuff I use. I use the Pittsburgh sockets at the restoration shop. They seem okay. They're a 6-point. They're not a 12-point, so they're not going to slip on you, things like that. I haven't broken one yet. Breaker bars, I have multiples. This is a Pittsburgh one. I use this one here I have one here at my shop, my personal shop, and I also have one in my toolbox at the shop, at the restoration shop. But I also have a snap-on one here as well, which I don't have a snap-on one at my day job. Ratchets. The Pittsburgh ones I use here. I haven't taken them to the other shop. I use Snap-on and Mac over there, and one of the reasons why is I love the ratchets that have the tilt head. Problem is that the Pittsburgh one doesn't have a stop or a way to keep it from falling, so I don't want it to slip on anything expensive, because the trucks I work on are $150,000+ trucks, so these stay here at the shop. Pittsburgh wrenches, I use them here and at the restoration shop. I love the long reach ones. These are amazing. I haven't had one fail. I haven't had one slip. They're good quality. I've been really impressed with them. So I use them at both shops. I do have a set of snap-on wrenches, snap-on gear wrenches at the restoration shop on top of these, and then a set of Matco regular wrenches in my toolbox at the restoration shop. Here at this shop, I use the Pittsburgh stuff, and I also have some Mac and Snap-on. Screwdrivers. I've been using these Quins lately because, well, they were cheap, and I was kind of impressed with them. I took a set to the restoration shop, and I have a set here. I found myself not using them as much at the restoration shop because, well, this is one of the shorter ones. The rest of them are quite long, and they're hard to get into places. So I don't use them as much at the restoration shop. But I do use them here, and I've been really happy with them. And I've been meaning to do a review on these, but they're pretty decent. The only thing I have found that I don't like about them is the grip has a weird texture to it, and is great for keeping your hands from slipping, but if you're not wearing gloves and it's cold out, after a while they kind of hurt. Pliers. Now, these wire strippers are amazing. They're by Snap-on. probably the best set of wire strippers I have ever owned. I have a pair here, and I also have a pair at the restoration shop. I do not use the Harbor Freight wire strippers even in my own shop because, well, honestly, they don't concentrate on those. They're just for quick fixes, so they're kind of junk. So I don't use them in either shop. But for regular pliers, the Doyle's I have a set here. I have some at the restoration shop, but I've mostly used my Snap-on stuff at the restoration shop. But I do find myself using the Doyle's here in the shop a lot, and I've been really happy with them. They're a good quality set of pliers. So yeah, I would use them in either one. Now, when it comes to specialty tools, that's where things get a little off. Like I do have a bearing or race installer that is Harbor Freight, and I have a set here, and then I also have a set at the restoration shop, and they're okay. I've had to replace a set once because, you know, I wore them out, but buying another set of those over, like you say, 3-year period is not even half of what a set off the tool truck would cost you. So it was a well worth investment. But when it comes to other stuff, like, and I'm going to give you some examples that aren't Harbor Freight and aren't Snap-on or Mac or Matco. Like this here, this is my harmonic balancer installer. I have a couple of these, and they're just you know, it's an installation tool, or removal tool in this case. I bought this, it's by a company called OEM. I actually bought this at O'Reilly's. And the reason why I bought it at O'Reilly's is the specialty tool stuff like this is about Harbor Freight price, but maybe a little better quality, but a quarter of price of what you pay off the tool truck. So even though it's on the lines of Harbor Freight, it's not Harbor Freight, but this has been a really good tool. And I have several specialty tools, like the same thing for power steering pulley and removers and installers and things like that. And I've bought a lot of that stuff from OEM, which is, you know, something you would buy at your local O'Reilly's or AutoZone. My compression tester. This one is Pittsburgh. Now, it's decent quality. It's not the greatest by any means, but it's decent. It gets by. It's got all sorts of adapters. It's got even the style to where if you don't have a way of hooking something up, you put this right up against the spark plug hole. I've used this on motorcycles a lot. It's decent. Now, I have a Snap-on one, and I've tested to see what the difference between the two was one day. I thought I was going to see what the compression was on a vehicle and see if there was a difference in reading from the Snap-on to the Pittsburgh, and no, they're the same. One thing I did find about my Pittsburgh one is this one, if you noticed, this one looked brand new. And that's because it is. The other one was probably 2 years old and stopped functioning. So I just went out and bought another one. If this thing wasn't that expensive either, if I would have bought this thing through Snap-on, it would have been $300, where buying at Pittsburgh was like $30, I think, something like that. So buying two in 2 or 3 years, not bad considering what you would pay for on the tool truck. See, the reason why tools on the tool truck are so expensive is because they expect you to make payments on them. And when you make payments on them, they're not getting their money right away. So they have to mark them up a lot compared to walking in and buying it cash outright. Now, one thing I wish tool trucks would do, and if there's any companies listening, which I doubt there are, you should have a cash price, and then you should have a price for payments on the truck. It would make us as technicians probably buy more, because, like me, I'll run to Harbor Freight and buy something because it's a tenth of the price. Excuse me. Now I know the quality isn't the same. I cannot buy a pair of these wire strippers at Harbor Freight, or even come close to anything like them at Harbor Freight. But this is like an exception. These things are amazing, but they were expensive. A lot of the tools that they sell are like that. But for you to tell me that this ratchet, except for the head not being able to sit in one spot, is that much less a quality for $25, I think this was maybe $30, compared to a Snap-on or a Mac or whatever that's 150 plus. No, not worth it. I remember one time Mac was experimenting with, well, they all have. I mean, Snap-on has a lower line, Blackhawk or Blue Point. No, I'm sorry. Theirs lower line is Blue Point. Mac's is Blackhawk. And there is a significant price difference between the two. And I've bought a lot of Blue Point stuff over the years. Here's one of my die grinders. It's a Blue Point. Why'd I buy the Blue Point? Much cheaper. Yeah. Got a little road rash on that one. In the Blackhawk line, I actually have a set of ratchet wrenches that I have had probably 15 years, and I think I broke the 10mm one. I think the gear went bad in it, but you know, having a full set and using them and abusing them as much as I really do, I'm surprised I haven't broken any more. You know how many times I've taken one of those ratchet wrenches and taken an impact, put it on one side of a bolt, and taken the impact to the other, and I finally lost the 10mm, broke the 10mm. Come on, I mean, that's abuse. So, anyhow, the moral to this story is you don't have to have Mac, Snap-on, Matco tools to be a professional. There are some specialty stuff that you want. Toolboxes. Huge difference between a Snap-on and what's the Harbor Freight line one? I can't even think of the name of it. There's a big difference there. I mean, my Matco box, I am 52 years old, and I bought my first Matco box when I was 16, and I still have it. And it hasn't fallen apart. I mean, the slides are kind of worn out, the clips don't hold the drawers in, but it still holds tools, and it's still in okay shape. The thing is so old that it was before they powder coated the boxes, and the red paint that came on it is now orange because of how old it is. But it's still a functioning box, and I've had it since I was 16 years old. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that you could get away with a, well, you could, but it would be, you know, you would end up, if you bought a box from Harbor Freight, and you decided to use it on a professional level, don't expect it to last 20, 25 years. I mean, a box is an investment. They're expensive, and you expect them to last 20 years plus. You have to at the prices that you pay for a good Snap-on or a Mac box. It better last 20 years plus. It better. If you're okay with a box that lasts 5 or 6 years, go for it. And go for a cheaper box. And that's another thing at hand, now that I think about it. My Matco box was made back in the days where they didn't have ball bearing drawers and things like that. So it's probably, now that I think about it, the quality of a box that you can buy today from Harbor Freight. Granted, I know that the steel is thicker with my box, but Maybe you'll get some life out of it. It's something I'm going to look into. Now that I think about it. I need a new box, too. Alright, well, anyhow, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Can you use them in the professional world? Yeah, most of it. Not all of it. I mean, there are some things that you're going to want to buy that aren't Harbor Freight. A good example would probably be back to my wire strippers again for like the 5th time. You know, things like that. But I would be okay with an earthquake air impact. I'd be okay with the Pittsburgh line of hand wrenches or any of the hand tools. Hell, I'm even using their sockets at the restoration shop. But specialty stuff like here's another good example. Allen sockets. You know, it's an Allen type wrench out the back of it, and it hooks onto your ratchet. I've broken a few of the Harbor Freight stuff. I would stick to Snap-on or Mac or something like that for those. Just personal opinion. I won't use them at the restoration. I won't use the Harbor Freight ones at the restoration shop. You know, I'm working on one of those vehicles that has a $10,000 paint job on it. The last thing I want to do is have a ratchet or something break, ratchet slip, and ding paint or something along those lines. So, anyhow, I hope this helps. That's always my goal, to help you guys with, you know, tool selection. I mean, there are people that have probably been in the business for years and they're going, yeah, you're full of crap, and then try one of the Pittsburgh lines and go, oh, maybe he's not. The biggest hurdle of buying something from Harbor Freight in the professional world, the biggest thing is getting over the hurdle of the fact that it doesn't say Mac, Snap-on, Matco, or Cornwell. That's the biggest hurdle, because you walk into a professional shop with a bunch of other technicians and you're using a Pittsburgh wrench. You're always going to have that one asshole in the background going, hey, you use the cheap shit. I've got $1 million box. Who cares? I don't. But that is the biggest hurdle. It's all ego. If you can get past that, you like money in your wallet, yeah, I'd go with a lot of the Harbor Freight stuff in the professional world. And it has a lifetime warranty. It doesn't mean you can't go down your lunch break and get something swapped out if it breaks. And I'm noticing there's a Harbor Freight almost on every street corner now. That's a good thing. Anyhow, guys, that's it. As I said, I hope this helps. Remember, I'm in this to hopefully help you. So have a good time, and I will have out a video hopefully soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.